A scientist calls the police himself to warn them about the attack he's about to launch, then injects an untested virus straight into his own bloodstream, calmly claiming he's the only cure that exists. By the time this day ends, an entire office building will be a hunting ground, and the line between human and monster will completely disappear. At the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to a brilliant but unstable scientist named Young Shul, who makes a chilling phone call to authorities announcing his own terrorist attack before injecting himself with a viral strain he's developed. He's not afraid. If anything, he seems to welcome what's coming, insisting he alone holds the vaccine inside his own body. Meanwhile, inside the same building, we're introduced to biotech company Chungwoo is holding a major conference. A biotechnologist named Sa Zhang has been personally invited by her ex-husband, Gu Xiong, who's hoping to help her land a job. She's clearly still guarded around him, teasing him about his new wife while admitting the real reason she came, a strangely poetic, personal invitation that piqued her curiosity. On stage, the company's CEO, Wu Chul, proudly presents a groundbreaking discovery, a slime mold with astonishing cell regeneration properties, capable of curing paralysis in lab rats. It's a triumphant, almost celebratory moment until Wu Chul notices Young Chul standing quietly at the back of the room, and his expression shifts for just a second before he covers it with a joke about science one day preventing people from having bad thoughts about each other. It's a throwaway line. It won't feel like one for long. Elsewhere in the building, we meet Yun Suk, a security guard sharing a quiet lunch with his wheelchair-bound sister, Yun Hee, before his shift begins. It's a small, tender moment, one that makes what's coming feel even more devastating in hindsight. After the conference wraps, Sa Zhang is introduced to CEO Wu Chul, but their conversation is abruptly cut short when Wu Chul receives an urgent call from Bong Suk, a counter-terrorism officer investigating Young Chul's threat. The mood shifts instantly. Wu Chul postpones the meeting and rushes off, with Young Chul following close behind, unnoticed by everyone except Sa Zhang. Behind closed doors, the confrontation turns venomous. Young Chul accuses Wu Chul of exploiting his research and firing him once it served its purpose. Wu Chul fires back that his work is completely unusable, dangerous, even. When Young Chul declares he's ushering in the next stage of human evolution, Wu Chul calls him exactly what he appears to be, a psychopath, and shoves him toward the door. But Young Chul isn't finished. He reveals his true vision, not extinction, but a terrifying kind of perfect humanity. One mind, one shared consciousness, no jealousy, no suspicion, no individuality left to argue or betray anyone ever again. Wu Chul laughs in his face, mocking him with a sarcastic thumbs up before turning to leave. That's when Young Chul strikes, plunging a needle full of pathogens directly into Wu Chul's neck. Enraged, Wu Chul throws him around before shoving him into a bathroom and barricading the door. Walking away, he accidentally steps on the discarded needle. Moments later, standing in the hallway about to call for help, Wu Chul suddenly vomits an enormous mass of white mucus and collapses, his body twisting unnaturally as he transforms into something no longer human. When three bystanders rush to help him, he lunges and bites them instead. This is patient zero, and nobody in this building has any idea what's about to happen to them. Downstairs, counterterrorism officer Bong Suk arrives with his team, completely unaware the real threat has already begun. Screaming erupts. A newly transformed creature appears, and within moments, an entire hallway floods with more of them, each one vomiting the same white substance. Bong Suk immediately orders a full lockdown of the building. It's already too late. Back in the restaurant, Sa Zhang and Gu Song share an unexpectedly vulnerable lunch. He finally admits the real reason their marriage fell apart. He loved her fierce, uncompromising nature, but ultimately felt like too much of a coward to keep up with her. It's an emotionally raw moment, quickly interrupted by chaos elsewhere in the mall, where two students are aggressively bullying a girl named So Yun over a restaurant bill. Upstairs, Yoon Seok receives garbled, static-filled orders over his radio, just as screams erupt around him. Outside, police buses swarm the building's perimeter, redirecting terrified crowds. Inside, panic spreads instantly, as the infected begin attacking anyone in their path. In the chaos, Yoon-hee is knocked from her wheelchair, completely ignored by the fleeing crowd until Sa Zhang and Gu Xiong turn back to help her. Yun-seok arrives just in time to violently throw off an attacking creature, buying the group precious seconds to escape into a nearby camping supply store where they barricade themselves in with other terrified survivors. Here's where the film reveals something genuinely unsettling. When the lights go out, the creatures instantly calm down. They can no longer see their targets. But this brief safety doesn't last. The creatures begin sharing information among themselves, using their mucus like some kind of biological network, groaning in unison to coordinate attacks with disturbing intelligence. When the infected discover survivors hiding in a nearby restaurant, the group inside desperately texts each other to kill the lights just in time, until a nearby advertising screen accidentally lures the creatures back with movement and light. As the glass begins to crack under the assault, Sa-jang comes up with a brilliant, desperate plan. Using cardboard cutout standees as decoys, rigged to Yoon-hee's electric wheelchair to roll independently down the corridor as bait. It works for a while. As survivors make a break across the corridor, the infected eventually catch on, destroying the fake decoys and turning back toward the fleeing group. In one of the film's gut-wrenching sacrifices, Gu-song throws himself between an attacking creature and a terrified teenage girl, deliberately drawing the horde toward himself to save her. He doesn't make it. As night falls, the building remains under full quarantine, with news broadcasts confirming a bioterrorism attack and a horrifyingly contagious pathogen. Outside, frustrated crowds gather, demanding answers nobody has. Inside, Officer Bong-suk delivers devastating news to the survivors. No rescue is coming while the quarantine holds. Their only hope is capturing young Chul alive, since the vaccine exists only within his own body. Sa-jang shares a critical detail she witnessed the moment things went wrong in the VIP room, and more disturbingly, she's noticed the infected are evolving rapidly, communicating through their shared mucus network, almost like a hive mind. She compares it to a documented phenomenon in ants, where disoriented colonies form a fatal, endless death spiral. It gives her an idea just as unsettling as it is genius. Disguise their scent so the infected can no longer identify them as human. A brave former athlete volunteers to become bait, dousing himself in perfume before luring an entire horde away and shattering more perfume bottles throughout a nearby store to completely confuse their scent tracking. The plan works. The creatures grow disoriented, chasing scent trails instead of people, allowing the survivors to slip past unnoticed using antifreeze to mask their own smell. But their escape isn't clean. In the corridor, a teenage girl stumbles and becomes trapped beneath an attacking creature. Yoon-seok rushes back to save her, while Sa-jang triggers the building's emergency sprinklers, temporarily paralyzing the infected as water mixes catastrophically with their mucus network. It buys just enough time for the group to reach an elevator and escape, but not without brutal, desperate fighting along the way. Meanwhile, unsettling news reports emerge about young Chul's background. His father, once a respected professor, was exposed for financial misconduct and exploitation of his own students before taking his own life. Reporters begin openly speculating whether this entire attack is an act of calculated revenge. When the group finally locates young Chul hiding in a bathroom, Bong-suk immediately arrests him. Young Chul, disturbingly calm, warns them that using water was actually a mistake as it evaporates. It will only accelerate the network's ability to spread through the air itself. Desperate to reach the rooftop for rescue, the group discovers young Chul's disturbing secret. He can see through the eyes of every infected creature simultaneously. Realizing this, he distracts the group just long enough to sabotage their elevator escape, sending it directly into a horde. Several survivors are killed instantly in the ensuing chaos, and to everyone's horror, young Chul walks calmly through the surrounding creatures completely untouched because to them, he isn't prey. He's their leader. Elsewhere, Bong-suk's colleague Sul-hee discovers young Chul's secret underground laboratory filled with disturbing research in cages of frozen test monkeys. When one specimen escapes and chaos erupts among the others, soldiers are forced into a brutal fight for survival until they realize something crucial. Every single monkey was connected to one specific leader specimen. Kill that one, and all the others instantly freeze. It's the exact weakness they'll need to exploit on a much larger scale. Back in the building, the surviving group reaches a security control room, and Sa-jang puts together a horrifying realization. Young Chul can see through every infected creature's eyes simultaneously, meaning nothing they say near the infected is truly private anymore. Using the cameras, they track him down and manage to briefly incapacitate him by forcing him into contact with Wu Chul, the very first infected, momentarily freezing the entire horde while they make their move. But this uneasy advantage doesn't last. As the group fights to escape floor by floor, devastating losses mount. In one of the film's most gutting betrayals, Yun-hee sacrifices herself, deliberately tricking her own brother into safety before being overtaken by the horde and reappearing later as something far more disturbing. An infected creature who can now walk on two legs, evolution accelerating at a terrifying rate. When Yoon-suk discovers what's happened to his sister, the devastation breaks him completely right before she turns on him one final, horrifying time. As the survivors' numbers dwindle and betrayals mount within their own group, Sa-jang uncovers the true trigger behind this entire nightmare. Young Chul's twisted invitation was personal revenge against her specifically for reporting his father's corruption years earlier. He never meant to attack humanity broadly. He meant to punish one person, and everyone else simply became collateral damage in his delusional vision of perfect unity. In the film's explosive final act, an entire rescue team is decimated floor by floor as Young Chul commands his horde with terrifying precision, eventually escaping the building entirely and unleashing his creatures directly onto the panicked crowds and police outside. Alone, resourceful, and completely out of options, Sa-jang steals a jacket from one of the infected, using it to blend in among the horde undetected. In one of the film's most tense sequences, she tracks Young Chul down by car, using the exact same scent disguise trick from earlier, pulling his own jacket disguise off in the middle of the horde to trigger a catastrophic, disorienting death spiral among the creatures, exactly like the ants she studied earlier. In the chaos, she finally corners Young Chul near an open flame, using cardboard standees one final time to trick the disoriented horde into shoving him directly into the fire. As the flames consume him, the mucus network mirrors his suffering throughout the entire horde until every single infected creature in every location instantly freezes in place. It's finally over. As Sa-jang confirms the news with Suli that the outbreak has been completely neutralized everywhere, the film ends on one final, chilling beat. One lone creature, supposedly frozen forever, twitches back to life in the silence. And that's the full, terrifying ending of one of the most inventive infection thrillers we've broken down on this channel. A story that proves the most dangerous virus isn't the one that kills you. It's the one that makes you obedient. If this recap kept you hooked from that very first injection to the final twitch, that's exactly the kind of storytelling we bring you every single week. And if you're still scrolling without hitting subscribe, after everything these survivors just went through, you're genuinely missing out on recaps just like this, landing straight in your feed. Hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment below. Do you think that final twitch means it's really over? Or is this outbreak just getting started? See you in the next recap.